What's up, everybody? Benji Bruce here with SpeakingLifestyle.com. And in this video, we're going to talk about how do you take your speaking business and turn it into $1 million speaking business or $1 million training business, whatever you want to call it. Here's the thing. A while ago, this actually happened to me in terms of just getting gigs. It's like you're getting gigs, but I personally wanted more. I wanted no limit on the income. I want to be able to hit 9 figures if I wanted to. So I figured like, okay, I got to turn the speaking business into more of like a training business. And then I'm going to speak as more like a side income, really. And so you can easily make $250,000, $500,000 just speaking alone. Like you can easily do that. All you're really doing to do that is just outreach. It's really, really easy. But if you want to make more, if you want to make $1 million, $2 million, 10 million, freaking 100 million, if you want to make more, you have to do something different because you're limited in terms of your time. So you're sitting there, even if you're charging $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a gig, you're still limited by your time in terms of how many you can do. So that's why I thought to myself, okay, I want to step it up. I want to do a whole lot more than just speaking. So I thought, let me transition into the training as well. And so that's the first thing you have to really think about is in terms of separating your time for your money. And you also have to understand what it's really going to take. This is what a lot of people don't seem to understand. I mean, everyone's like, yeah, I want a 9-figure business. I want an 8-figure business, 7-figure, whatever it is, but they don't understand what it takes to get there. So you have to truly understand what it takes in terms of the daily activities and how much more work you're going to actually be required to engage in. So that's the first thing. Like, understand that what you're going to do is going to have to change. If you're sitting there getting speaking gigs, you're getting on stages, you're doing outreach to get on stages. If you're going to actually build more of a training business, you're going to start creating content, spending money on advertising, and everything's going to change. You can still do the outreach, but at the same time, you're going to be creating content, spending a lot of money on advertising and that sort of stuff. So you have to understand that it's going to require more work from you. So you just got to make sure you do it at the right time. If you try to do both to begin with. So I see this a lot of times. People, they say they want to be speakers and they're like, I want to get on stages. I want to sell my programs. I want to do workshops. I got to sell this best-selling book. They're doing way too many things at the same time. So in the beginning, you pick one, you go from there. So let's say I pick the getting gigs. I'm going to pick getting gigs until I hit $250,000. Once I do that, now I can start selling programs and I can start spending money on traffic and creating offers and all that sort of stuff. So you have to essentially start out by doing one to begin with. Then you can add another one on top of it, but you cannot do both at the same time because otherwise it's going to take you a long time to get really good at it. So think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to get really good at chess and at poker. Like you want to get really, really good at both those things. You can get really, really good at both those things, but you can't do it at the same time. If you do them at the same time, you're sitting there, you're splitting your focus. You're saying, okay, so I'm going to start learning poker for a little bit. Let me get this down. Okay, wait, stop. All right, let me start learning chess a little bit. Okay. All right, stop. Let me learn a little bit more about poker. Okay, stop. Now let me go back to chess. And that's what's happening when you're sitting there and you're splitting your focus versus if you just say, let me just focus on poker, and it's just bam. And that's what happens when you focus. So same goes for building your speaking business in terms of turning it into a training business. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to start thinking in terms of how do I separate my time from my money? And so at this point, now you're going to start creating the programs. So you start creating the programs, online program. I mean, it can be a physical program, whatever it is, software if you want, but you start creating things where your time is no longer, you don't need your time to be involved in order for you to make that money. So that's what you really have to think about if you want to get to 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, that sort of thing. So now what you're going to do is you can obviously sell like doing outreach or outreach or advertising. You can sell that way. I mean, there's like a million different ways to sell this thing, but you're sitting there thinking about there's 2 main routes when you're going to create a program, that two routes you can go. Either one, you can sell to regular people. You can sell to muggles. Hey, you can sell just regular stuff, $1,000, I don't know, $49, $500, like $497, whatever it is. You can sell to regular people, or you can sell to the corporate market at like $40,000 packages and $60,000 packages, and you can sell just bigger packages in general. Now, when it comes to the corporate market, that's like a whole different thing in terms of selling to the corporate market. But you're thinking in terms of like, who's the market? Like, what exactly are you going to sell them that they're going to buy that's not going to involve your time? So if you're sitting there selling sales training, You can sell it to a company for $40,000, $50,000. They'll easily buy it because they know, hey, we got to make more sales. We got to get that money. We got to get our billions of dollars. So they know that's something that they want to buy. Or let's say some new software that's going to help them out, some AI software, some virtual reality software. So it's like the bigger packages you can sell to the corporate market. And honestly, it's the same activity pretty much. So you're selling it pretty much the same way in terms of doing outreach and advertising. You're selling it the same way. The only difference is how you communicate what it is you're selling. So at this point, you're just understanding your audience. Once again, all marketing comes down to understanding your audience. The more you can understand your audience, the easier it's going to be to sell them. So for example, if I'm selling software to a company, I know, like, no matter how great my software is, I know the number one reason they're not going to buy is just because it's just too, it's just, I mean, they already have their systems in place. So it doesn't make sense for them to like go through all the stuff in terms of taking out the system, putting in my new system. It doesn't make sense for them to do that. It's too much of an inconvenience. They could literally say, we love your program. Oh my goodness, it's great software. But we already have our own. And so that's what happened. It's like, it's just a matter of inconvenience. So if I know that, I can say, look, our people actually come in, you're not even going to notice a transition. Like, our people actually come into your business. We set up the systems. We train all you guys. We train your main people in terms of how to do it. We train all you guys on how to use it. And we keep doing it for 5 years straight until everyone gets it down. And so at that point, now I can ease the tension in terms of that inconvenience. So the more you understand people, the easier it's going to be to sell them. So I started doing this when it came to just the marketing, the programs in general, in terms of I was doing more account-based marketing, where it's more like, I'm going to target this company here, this real estate brokerage here. Now let me go specifically after them. What exactly are they looking for? Now it's a lot easier to sell them a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 package based on what it is they're specifically looking for, and I can get into detail about their specific business. So that's what's going to allow you to sell to the corporate market in general in terms of like your programs. Now, I don't really recommend going after the corporate market to begin with, because you want to think in terms of the more expensive something is, the longer the sales process is going to take, especially if you don't know your audience. So in the beginning, you want to just go after your market, just regular muggles, go after regular people. From there, you're going to be able to understand like what are their objections and things like that. If you do have something specific for the corporate market, go after them as well. The biggest thing is you just got to freaking go after it in the very beginning. You have to start reaching out to people, start advertising from the very get-go, start selling it as fast as possible so you can see what are people's objections, then you can get around those things. But the way you're going to turn your speaking business into a 7-figure, 8-figure business is by you essentially separating your time from your money. So no longer just doing speaking gigs. It's like, sure, I'll do a speaking gig every now and again, but it's more of turning it into kind of like a training business. So when you do actually speak, you're speaking about your training. You go, you sell your training thing. You go, you speak and say like, hey, here's how you use the new CRM that you guys just bought or whatever. So that's kind of what it is you're doing. And it's really, really important that you only do revenue generating activities. The more money you want to make, the more you have to focus on revenue generating activities. A lot of people don't make money just because they're doing the wrong things. Like that's it. When you do the wrong things for a long period of time, you end up getting demotivated because you don't get results. So you have to really focus on doing the right things, doing those things over and over again so you get really good at doing the right things. So it's not just doing the right things, you're doing the right things really well. And at that point, you're going to turn your speaking business into at least a 7-figure speaking business. Just remember, you can easily make $250,000 off of speaking alone, like just speaking fees alone. But if you want to make a whole lot more, you got to separate the time from the money by selling programs and things like that. But once again, this is a big warning. You got to make sure that you do one at a time. Do not do both. I can't stress this enough. For some reason, everyone wants to do both at the same time. You cannot do both. You have to say, I'm going to get speaking gigs until I reach, let's say, $250,000 or $500,000. Then once I reach this point, now I'm going to start building a program, start selling the program. So you have to separate the two because they're two completely different businesses. So that is how you turn your speaking business into a 7-figure training business or a speaking business, whatever you want to call it. That's just how you make some damn money. Damn it.